Greetings to all of you, to the dignitaries who are attending this program, to the teams from the Department of Science and Technology, Navodaya schools, members of Aparajitha foundations, other teachers, and most importantly, the young and bright students who are attending this program. My special greetings to all of you. Let me start by saying that this is a red-lettered day in the annals of Aparajitha Foundation's history, where we have this huge chance of addressing some of the brightest and youngest minds of the country. I'm very thankful for this opportunity to do so on my personal behalf and on that of Aparajitha Foundations. I would specifically like to thank and acknowledge the Ministry of Science and Technology, the Senior Consultant Shri D.K. Modi ji, Project Scientist Ms. Meenu Singh ji, Project Associate Ms. Sanzida Taslim ji, the team from the Vigyan Jyoti team, members from the Navodaya Hyderabad region, particularly National Coordinator for Summer Camp Shri T. Gopala Krishnan ji, Deputy Commissioner, Shri Abhijit Bera ji, Assistant Commissioner, Navodaya Vidya Samiti. But for you, this wouldn't have been a reality for Aparajitha Foundations. Thanks to all of you again. So let me just take a few minutes to talk of what this program is all about. To the young students here, you would have all seen that bright flyer that came to you talking about the Life Skills program that the DTS is working with Aparajitha Foundations and ensuring that the best reaches you as you go through the summer camp. The program, which is called TTT or Tim Tim Tare, is a program of life skills, which is an attempt for a transformational change through awareness. What is this TTT all about? Or for that matter, what is life skills? Normally, when you attend your school and you learn subjects, each gives you a different intelligence. For example, when you learn mathematics, it gives you an intelligence of handling numbers. When you learn history, it gives you an intelligence of the past. When you learn geography, it gives you an intelligence relating to spaces. When you learn sciences, it gives you an intelligence relating to nature. Life skills give you emotional intelligence and social intelligence. Let me take a minute or two to talk about what emotional intelligence is and what social intelligence is. In today's world, where there is so much of stress, even as students, and when you have to learn so much in a competitive environment, what becomes very important is to handle that with comfort. Handling yourself is a primary need, because unless you handle yourself comfortably, how are you going to deal with the day-to-day situations that arise in your life, be it at home or be it at school? Emotional intelligence is something that enables you become self-aware about your own emotions and enable you handle those emotions with a lot of care and enables you treat yourself gently. Equally important is social intelligence. Man is a social animal, as you would have heard and learned. And every day we are dealing with a lot of people, our teachers, our friends, our family members, our relatives, our society at large. And I think it's important that each of us understands how to navigate all these relationships and how do you deal with all these people that you meet in your life every day. What is important is to develop this emotional intelligence and social intelligence, because these are ways of cultivating the mind. And when you cultivate the mind, it shapes your attitude, it shapes your character. And at the end of the day, it is this character that translates into your strength and therefore enables you lead a healthy, happy, and harmonious life. Let us look at why life skills have become extremely important today. Earlier, before the advent of internet, I think knowledge was all powerful. Knowledge was not available anywhere, and it was available only in certain books and with certain people. And therefore, when you read the books or spoke to those people, you had to carry that in your memory. And memory was at a huge premium, because if you could memorize something and if you could learn something by heart and you were better off than others in that, that was considered super special. Fortunately or unfortunately, it is no longer so. With the advent of the net, all of us know that anything that you want to know is available at your fingertip through Google. It is easy for you to search and get an answer for whatever you want from the various portals and websites that are available and that can fill your knowledge and enable you understand many of these things today. Having said that, what is not available in the internet is exactly practical situations which you will have to face every day in handling yourself and in handling other people. Also, if you have to learn swimming, there is no way you can theoretically learn swimming. Unless you jump into the water, there is no way you will learn swimming. If you want to learn cycling, unless you actually take the cycle and ride, there is no way you can learn cycling. You can read as many books as possible, you can go through as many manuals as possible, but at the end of the day, jumping into the water alone will enable you learn swimming. Taking the cycle and riding alone will enable you learn cycling. Life skills are such. Unless you practically experience them, unless you learn them in a format which gives you a practical experience, there is no way you would learn these life skills. So these sessions become extremely important because they teach you emotional intelligence in terms of how you can handle yourself and social intelligence in terms of how you can handle others. And the transformation change that is envisaged is a change that you bring upon yourself from an improvement perspective so that you are a better version of what you have been so far and you keep on improving. You learn a couple of tools, you learn a couple of methods, you learn a couple of techniques by which you can apply it in your daily life. Just like you will improve in your swimming skills by constantly going for swimming classes, just like you will improve on your cycling by constantly spending some time on cycling every day, life skills is something that you will practice every day, and therefore you will become better and better at that. And only when you become better and better at that does your character get completely shaped and your attitude becomes clear towards yourself, towards others, towards life in general. And why is attitude so important? Because at the end of the day, it is your attitude which determines your altitude in life. What I mean by that is, it is your attitude towards life that ultimately determines where you will land in your life. What is the level that you will reach in your life? It is with good intent and hard work and perseverance in terms of going ahead with your action and constantly waiting for the right outcome at the right time is how you can actually reach greater heights. Lives of all great men do remind us that we too can do our best and leave behind our footprints in the sands of time. This is something that you would have heard. But it is no longer just about knowing subjects. It is no longer just about learning languages. Of course, learning languages and learning subjects are extremely important and form a very, very crucial part of shaping you. But equally important is how you look at life skills, how you look at emotional intelligence, and how you look at social intelligence. Now, how can this be done? I just want to tell you a very, very simple quote which says, sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. I repeat, sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. At the end of the day, it is a thought that is sowed which ultimately determines your destiny, because the thought grows into action, actions become habits, and your constant habits become your character. And it is this character of yours that ultimately determines your destiny, or what I said, the altitude that you will reach in your life. And therefore, the entire program of TTT, or the Life Skills program of Aparajitha Foundations, is designed to sow a couple of very, very noble thoughts in your fertile minds so that they can grow into actions, they can translate into skills continuously, which therefore become habits. And those habits will define your attitude and therefore your character. And this character in turn becomes your destiny in terms of leading a healthy, happy, and harmonious life. You must be wondering why I keep on using the word character again and again. But that is simply because character defines a person by the culture he demonstrates. Now, culture again is a new word that I'm introducing here because character comes across as actions, comes across as habits, comes across as behavior. And this action, behavior, and how one expresses oneself is what becomes the person's culture. Is it limited to an individual? Not at all. When an entire society behaves in a particular way, it becomes a society's culture. I'm sure you're all going through this curriculum in your school, and a school has a culture dependent on how all the students behave in that school. And if a school's culture is very good, it is called a disciplined school or a school with character. In fact, even for nations, it's equally true that the collective behavior of the people is what defines the nation's character. And where does it all start? It starts with cultivating the mind. And therefore, again, it is very important to understand that if we can introduce a thought in our minds, enable it germinate and grow, and take care of it, it can become a huge tree which effectively defines us as an individual. Now, I'm just going to share a couple of thoughts on what kind of character you can build and how this life skills program that has been organized for you, thanks to the Ministry of Science and Technology, thanks to the Navodaya schools, how can it make a significant difference? Do you all like the rainbow? I'm sure you do. I don't think there is any individual who wouldn't like the rainbow. And you know how rainbows are formed? When there is rain, and when there is also a bit of sunshine, in that combination, the rainbows are formed. And I'm sure you have read about how they are formed. Can your character be like the rainbow? Think about it. How fabulous it would be if you could be a rainbow yourself all through your life. Many times we wonder, can't there be rainbows day after day? How beautiful the sky would look. How much of time would we want to spend just gazing at the sky if there were rainbows? And if you had a rainbow character, you would be the cynosure of all eyes who look at you. You would be such an amazing person that people would want to spend time with you, and you will feel so good about yourself in terms of what you are, who you are, and how you relate to others. Sounds a fantasy that you can be a rainbow yourself? Not at all. Let us just try to break it down and see how one can become a rainbow. But before that, I want to tell you, why am I using the imagery of a rainbow for character? It is not necessarily just because it is so beautiful to behold, but also because you have to wait for the storm to pass for the rainbow to happen. Only when there is rain and the sun appears and there is a storm equivalent is when a rainbow appears. Therefore, in life also, we need to face a lot of challenges. We need to have all the ups and downs and become very comfortable to go through those processes, and only then a rainbow will appear. Equally, if each of you can become a rainbow, it also symbolizes the possibility of hope, optimism, positivity, cheer, joy, etc. And that those are the kind of emotions that the rainbow brings in us. And that is why I believe that if we can use that symbolism of a rainbow for character, it will be excellent. Now, what does a rainbow have? I think all of you would know that. We know it's Vibgyor with violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. Now close your eyes for a minute and think of a rainbow with a vast ocean in front of it. Imagine that the rainbow is reflecting on the ocean. And then you can see a rainbow on the sky, and you can see a beautiful reflection of all these 7 colors on the ocean. And deep within you, you can feel all those 7 colors of violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. Now, each of these colors becomes a separate sea. There's a bit of a pun here. When I say sea, it is CEA as in sea, because you have heard of yellow sea, white sea, black sea, red sea. But now we are talking of the 7 colors of the rainbow as 7 different seas. But very interestingly, each word will begin with a sea. The violet sea talks of the sea of creativity. The indigo sea talks of the sea of communication. The blue sea, that of competence. The green sea, that of care. The yellow sea, that of clarity. The orange sea, that of confidence. And finally, the red sea, that of courage. Now, I'm going to spend some time talking to you about each of these seas. So, at one level, they are colorful seas. At the other level, all the 7 words start with C. And now let's look at them one by one, and how this entire program of life skills is going to enable you have those 7 C's become a part of yourself, which means you can become a rainbow. So let's begin with the first C, the violet sea, the sea of creativity. You know what is the best tool that will help you? And do you think it's outside you? Not at all. It is your mind that is your biggest tool. Your mind is a gold mine. And the more you mine your mind, the more gold you will get, the more gold you will become. And you need to understand that for that, you should have the belief that you are capable of things that what normally people may think is not possible or not easy at all. No pain, no gain. So there is bound to be a little bit of effort that is required. And please dream big for that. I know some of the best minds of the schools are sitting in front of me and listening to this. And I want to just tell you that no dream too big, no sky too high. If you set your mind to it, you can get there. And for that, you need to ensure that you learn to use your mind well. Don't limit to what you read in your books or to what you hear from your people or what you see around you. Ensure that you have some time to reflect on yourself, reflect about what you want to be, reflect about where you want to reach, reflect on people and things that impress you, reflect on particular qualities that you would like to develop upon yourself, and convert that into a creative possibility for yourself. And what is going to be very important to be creative is another C, that is curiosity. Curiosity starting with a C. Be curious about everything around you. Be curious about everybody whom you meet. Be curious about what is within you and why you act in certain situations in certain ways. The more your curiosity, the more wonder that you have about things around you, things within you, the more the possibility of creativity. And as far as this session is concerned, there are going to be lessons specifically on creative thinking that will enable you think about your own mind, understand your own mind, and harness your own mind. All the best with the violet sea. Next is the indigo sea. The indigo sea is that of communication. Today in the world, most of the jobs that need to be done are to be done as teams. They have to be done in collaboration. They have to be done in connecting with other people. And therefore, how you communicate becomes important. It's not just about learning a language. Learning a language is extremely important. You have to understand the language and use it to the best of your ability. It's always good to learn additional languages, particularly if you want to become a global citizen. But having said all that, the nuances of language are taught in the school. That is one part. But how you express yourself, how you express yourself in difficult situations is something that you need to learn. When you want to say something very comfortably, even though it may not be what the other person expects, or even though it is different from what the other person is thinking, how do you do that? And these life skills program is going to talk to you about how assertive you can be. If you have an opinion, you should learn to voice it. If you have a thought process, you should learn to share it. And if you miss a chance, maybe you'll never get it again. And therefore, assertion, and sometimes you also need to disagree with people, but in a very polite way. Just because somebody else says something and you don't subscribe to that thought, it doesn't mean that you must completely agree to that. In which case, you must be able to disagree politely. Even that will be taught as part of life skills here. Again, this C, which is the indigo C, which is the communication C, is very important for another C, and that is collaboration. So while the earlier violet C, which talked of creativity, had an associated C in curiosity, the indigo C, which is about communication, has another C in collaboration. All the best with the indigo C. The third C is the blue C. And this blue C is that of competence. I already told you earlier that it is not just about subjects competence and languages competence that make a person. It is emotional competence and social competence that make a person complete. And what is important is to not to ignore the competence in subjects, not to ignore the competence in languages. Those are very important. Please give them priority, learn them in your school. Your teachers are there to support you. Your friends are there to support you. Become great at that. But please focus also on developing competence, on handling emotions, in handling stress, in handling situations, in handling people. And that is something that's going to be taught in this set of life skills program. One interesting thought that will come up is about goal setting. And you need to set your goals, and then you'll have to develop competences towards those goals. Sometimes developing a competence itself could be a goal, and you may want to manage your time to ensure that you have time enough to develop all these competences, and therefore time management will also be taught as part of these life skills program. Effectively ensure that you are committed in terms of developing competences. So you saw the other C that is associated with this C of competence, that is commitment. Unless you commit to yourself, you are not going to develop these competences. Your teachers, your friends, your family, nobody else can push you to develop a competence unless you are convinced and you are sure that you want to develop that competence, in which case you should have a commitment to develop the competence. Therefore, the blue C of competence is associated with another C, and that is commitment. Learn to manage your time, learn to have your goals, and ensure that you're committed to develop not only competences on your subjects and languages, but equally emotional competence and social competence. All the best with the blue C. On to the fourth C, the green C, the C of care. I'm sure all of you have heard the word care when people tell you that they care for you, or you have told people that you care for them. What does care really mean? Care means you are ready to extend yourself to support some other person when they are in need from their perspective. And that is the true quality of empathy. And therefore, while we are doing these lessons, there is a specific lesson talking of how do you respect others' feelings. In a world where connections and collaboration have become very important, while it is okay to be assertive and express your views, while it is okay to disagree politely if you have a different point of view, it's equally important to respect others' views. It is okay to apologize if you have made a mistake. It is okay to acknowledge that you have slipped up. And very importantly, it is okay to appreciate somebody else when they have really done something nice and you want to recognize it. And these are the connections and bonds that you can form with other people by expressing your care and concern for maintaining that relationships. Many times it is said that it is more important to be trusted than to be loved. I repeat, it is more important to be trusted than to be loved. Now, how will anybody trust you? Nobody will trust you just because you are so and so, or just by saying that you are a friend. It doesn't mean you become a friend. You will have to earn the trust. And what does earning trust means? You will have to act in a particular way again and again and again so that people understand that consistency and therefore learn to trust you. They understand that you really mean good for them, that you really mean well for them, and you want to have that relationship, and then people develop a trust in you. Trust is not developed overnight. Trust is developed with repeated acts that earn that trust for you, and therefore consistency is important. Ensuring that you act in a particular way that provides proof to people that you're trustworthy is important, and therefore ensure that you are really caring about people and you are concerned about people, and that leads to another word, which is compassion. The fourth C, which is the green C, the main word is care, starting with a C, but the associated word is compassion. There are so many people out there whom you can reach out to with empathy, and you can understand that feeling and put yourself in their shoes and extend to the extent possible. Charity begins at home, and it can start with your family members. Learn to respect the feelings of your immediate family members, your parents, your siblings, your cousins, your friends, your classmates, your teachers, and everybody else whom you meet as part of your social circles. And you will see a huge change that happens in the way your internal emotional competence develops and your external social competence is valued. All the best with the green C. We move on to the yellow C. The yellow C is clarity. I think it's very important to develop clarity in thinking, and that comes with a lot of awareness. Now, what is awareness? Awareness is becoming a little more understanding of your own self, of how your mind works. I told you that your mind is a gold mine, and unless you understand how the mind has to be worked, how will you ever get the gold? And therefore, the more comfortable you become about understanding your own mind, the more comfortable you will be in mining the gold within. And that is clarity. Now, clarity will enable much better decision making skills for you. We are making decisions every day, small or big doesn't really matter. But there are hundreds of decisions that are made every day, starting from what to have from breakfast, where do I sit in the class, how do I go to school, from when do I do my homework, and how do I plan my time. So many decisions that are being made on a daily basis. And decision making becomes better with clarity. Not only decision making becomes better, you will be better at solving problems as well. Because once you have clarity, your ability to think critically, your ability to understand, analyze, think through the problem, and synthesize various information that you have collected and put them together, visualize it in front of your mind, and decide how you want to approach that problem and tackle that problem will be much better. Most importantly, your conviction that you can handle a problem will be much higher. Your conviction in yourself that you are capable of taking a decision will be much higher. Your conviction with which you talk to people will be higher. Your conviction in yourself will be higher. And therefore, it is very, very important to go ahead and develop clarity as a process. And in this particular session on life skills, there are going to be lessons which support your decision making skills, which support your problem solving skills, which support your critical thinking skills. All this will ensure that you have conviction in yourself in handling any issue with clarity. No prizes for guessing what is the associated C with the C of clarity, and that is the C of conviction. All the best with the yellow C. We move on to the orange C. The orange C is that of confidence. Have you ever wondered what confidence is? All the time people will tell you, be confident, you must have self-confidence. But what is confidence? It is not about whether you win or lose in something that defines your confidence. It is your ability to believe that you are capable of handling the task and you are giving it its best. I repeat, it is your ability to believe that you are capable of handling the task and giving it your best. It doesn't really matter whether you win or lose. For example, if you're participating in a race, when there are 8 people who are running a race, there can only be one person who's the winner. It doesn't mean only he is confident and all the other 7 are not confident. If you don't practice and if you don't join the race at all, then you are not confident, you are actually diffident. At the same time, if you join the race and not practice at all and simply think that you will win, that could be overconfidence. And if you simply think that you're better than others, that is overconfidence. But if you plan and practice for the race and join the race and run the race, that is confidence by itself. Whether you win the race or lose the race, it doesn't matter. I don't know whether you've heard of this particular quote, which has been very powerful for me, that when the great scorer comes and writes, he writes not whether you won or lost, but how you played the game. But how you played the game. So what matters is, how do you go ahead with your task? Do you handle it with the kind of planning and preparation that is needed? Are you perseverant in your efforts? Do you keep developing yourself to make yourself confident that you are capable of handling the task? So at the end of the day, confidence is about that capability in yourself that you are equal to the task. And the C that is associated with confidence is capability. Now, how do you develop this capability? By working towards a goal and ensuring that you have prepared for it and you keep moving towards it. There will be a session which specifically talks of self-confidence, what is self-confidence, and how have you to develop self-confidence. Why is confidence important? To be competitive. That is also a C associated with confidence. And when we think of competition, we immediately think of competing with others. And therefore, we think we are winning or losing in comparison to others. Change that a little. Think that you're competing with yourself, that you will be a better version of yourself tomorrow than your version today. You will be a better version 1 year later than what you are today. And imagine 10 years down the line, what a phenomenally better version of yourself you will be if you can apply that way. Which means confidence is being competitive, but with yourself, not with others. Whatever others are doing may be important as a reference point. You may keep them as a benchmark. You may keep that quality as a role model. There is nothing wrong about it. But don't compete with others, feel jealous about others, feel uncomfortable when others win. Doesn't matter. So long as you have given your best, so long as you have prepared, you have persevered, you have planned, and you had done everything in your capability towards what you need, that by itself is a matter of joy and pride. And you can pat yourself on your back that you're confident and that you're competitive. Most importantly, you're competing with yourself. You should always aim to be a little better than how you were yesterday. Today, you must be better than yesterday. Tomorrow, you must be better than today. You must be able to think of at least 2 aspects in your life. The way you think, the way you talk, the way you interact with people, the way you have studied, the way you have planned, anything. 2 specific aspects where you're a little better than how you were yesterday. And if you can do that as a practice, and if it becomes your normal habit, imagine what heights this can take you to. All the best with the RNC of confidence. Finally, we come to the red C. The red C is the C of courage. Yes, we've already become confident. We are able to handle so many tasks. We think we are equal to it. We are competing with ourselves and we've crossed the RNC. But now we come to the red C where life throws challenges to you. The way you handle these challenges is going to define you as a person. They normally say that if the seas are smooth, the sailors will never be great, because in smooth seas, the sailors have nothing to learn. But it is the rough seas that ensure that sailors become really good with the art of sailing. So is it with life. If life is just bland and threw no challenges at us, what is there to learn? What is there to grow? What is there to evolve? But if you are able to handle those challenges that are thrown to you as part of your life, then there is a huge possibility that you get into that lovely virtuous spiral of constantly learning and growing. Let's understand it this way. A challenge is thrown at you. You handle it with a lot of confidence. You may get the outcome that you want, you may not get the outcome that you want. If you get the outcome that you want, you will think about what you've done well, pat yourself on the back, and say, well, this is going to give me courage to face other such situations in the future. And when you don't get the results, yes, you are bound to feel disappointed. You may fret a little, whine a little, it is all right. But then you must learn to put it behind you and move ahead. And that quality is called resilience. I repeat the word, that quality to put the past behind you and bounce back to your normal, original rainbow self is called resilience. And today's world, which is extremely competitive and complex, the most important quality that you will need to navigate the complexities is that of resilience. People could criticize you, and you have to learn to handle that criticism. And there is going to be a lesson which talks of how you can handle criticism and how do you decide what steps you need to take in terms of handling yourself when somebody criticizes you, and how do you respond when somebody criticizes you. Equally, particularly in the stage that you are, more than the family, it is your peer group, your friends who influence you a lot. And sometimes that influence is extremely good. Sometimes you will have to be wary or careful about that influence. So, how do you handle what is called peer pressure? At this point of time, it is perfect that you want to belong to a group, you want to be identified with a group, you want to be one amongst the total gang, as they call it. But at the end of the day, you must also be able to differentiate what is appropriate and what is inappropriate. And that by itself is a challenge that is thrown upon you at your age and stage in life. And therefore, you need the courage to only choose the appropriate path and not choose what could be inappropriate. And it requires clarity to decide what is appropriate, what is inappropriate. It requires confidence to know how you will have to handle yourself and how you will have to give a pushback. It requires courage to face it with a lot of comfort and say, I find this appropriate, therefore I will go ahead with this no matter what the pressure that is built on me. And that is courage. So the C associated with the C of courage is challenges handling. Challenges handling is something that is not new to any individual, irrespective of their age. At whichever age we are in, there are challenges associated with that age, and there will be a couple of lessons that talk about handling criticism and handling peer pressure that would enable you develop the courage that you so really need at this age in your life. All the best with the Red Sea. Now we have covered the violet sea, the indigo sea, the blue sea, the green sea, the yellow sea, the orange sea, and the red sea. And I told you that if you can be a rainbow, then it's going to be very comfortable for you to face life headlong and ensure that you emerge victorious and you have mined your gold. But Rome was not built in a day. I'm sure all of you have heard that Rome was not built in a day. Nothing of phenomenal success can be achieved overnight. It takes years to be an overnight success, as they say in a lighter vein. It is true that decades of hard work are needed if you want to be successful in life. And cultivating emotional competence and social competence are equally like that. And I chose a lot of C words with a pun in mind that these C words will make you strong. And SEA, as we call the sea, is also a symbol of power and strength and stability, vastness, right? When we think of the rainbow, we think of hope, positivity, optimism, joy, and cheer. And when you think of the sea, you think of the vastness, the calmness, the stability, the power, and the strength. And therefore, there is a combination of the rainbow and the seas in whatever I have talked about. I sincerely wish that all these lessons that you're going through in your summer life enables you become a far better version of yourself. And this journey is not done with this fortnight or with this 1 month of summer classes. These are lessons that will go deep into you, and you will want to refresh them in your mind again and again. And I'm sure people from Aparajitha Foundations will give you the link to the website where many of these lessons are there. And I would encourage you to see them again and again whenever you can, because all said and done, we need to refresh ourselves with these thoughts. Particularly when we are facing challenges, when we feel that we are being pushed to a corner, when we feel that there is competition, when we feel that we have to rise up to the particular situation. But if you get it refreshed on a continuous basis, you will become that rainbow with the 7 C's. And as you move forward, you will ensure that you are competitive with yourself and becoming a better and better and better version of yourself. So much so that a couple of years when you look back, you'll be amazed at the progress that you have made. So I would just title this entire speech that I have given you, or the thoughts that I have shared with you, as Paint Your Rainbow. If I were to give a topic to this entire speech of introduction to the life skills program that you're going to handle, I would choose the topic Paint Your Rainbow. And I've already told you what the 7 colors are, what the 7 C's are, and how each of the 7 C's represent particular qualities that can build you as a great individual with phenomenal character, and how you would be the cynosure of all eyes who look at you. Therefore, please be sure and tell yourself, I can paint the rainbow, I will paint the rainbow, I must paint the rainbow. I repeat it, I can paint the rainbow, I will paint the rainbow, I must paint the rainbow. All the very best, paint your rainbows. Thank you, take care.